Oceanic pollution due to plastic is a major threat in today. So then people use plastic and polythene as a packaging material, as well as to produce daily goods and household items. So ultimately, most of this plastic will be thrown away from their household, maybe into garbage dump site, maybe into the natural environment. And with the rainy conditions, so then these plastic material can be washed away and getting into the rivers, maybe small streams, which ultimately ended up the sea. Then in some countries, as they don't have sufficient facility to manage the waste, they directly release the polythene and plastic waste into the ocean or the rivers. Then the other thing is the activities that is being carried in coastal areas and the oceanic waters also release a sufficient or a significant quantity of plastic to the waters. So ultimately, this plastic can do lots of damages to the aquatic creatures in the oceans. So basically, the plastic, polythene, and nylon stuff will damage to the activities of oceanic creatures, maybe to the whales, maybe to the dolphins, maybe to the turtles like organisms. Throughout the world, in many videos and many newsletters, you have observed that the turtles, then seals like organisms entangled with lots of nets, plastic waste, like lots of stuff that is being floating on the oceanic water. So this is a huge problem because these major creatures, or maybe mostly that the predatory animals that are available in the oceanic system, get affected because of these the plastic pollution. So these all may not directly damage to the oceanic organisms. So then the problem is, once this plastic is exposed to the salt water as well as to the sunlight, it will be further fragmented and its size gets smaller. So then the problem become worst with that thing. Why? This plastic will ultimately fragmented into micro scale. So then these micro scale particles can be getting into the bodies of phytoplanktons, then zooplanktons, so then plankton feeding fishes, and then the carnivorous fishes. So then we are also consuming these aquatic creatures. So once we consume the fish, we also being affected with the consumption of microplastic. What is the problem with microplastic? So then microplastic, once it being getting into the body, it also can be trapped in the body organs. So it can cause for cancers, and it can cause some metabolic disruptions like many health hazardous conditions within our body. So then with the consumption of the stuff that is originated from the ocean, we will be exposed to the consumption of microplastic. So then the problem is not limited to that. Even this microplastic can be getting into the atmosphere. So then we know that the air is always interacting with these oceanic waters, and ultimately these very tiny, very small, micro scale plastic may be getting into the air. So ultimately, sometimes we may inhale this microplastic. Nowadays, some research are able to count that even the bee honey samples that they have checked uh, presence of microplastic. So then the problem become worse now. So most of the stuff that we are consuming may be contaminated with the microplastic. You just think if it is can be available in the honeybee, what kind of impact that could make in the coming century. So therefore, it's a great requirement throughout the world to reduce the plastic and polythene consumption. The major issue is most of the plastic and polythene that we are using for the household items or the packaging is being used for a single time. So then there is no circulation of that plastic. It is being thrown away and ultimately ended up in the oceanic waters, maybe on the soil. So therefore, recycling is one of the vital need throughout this world. Recycling, if we can recycle it, we can use the same plastic for several years. So therefore, the production of plastic, the newly production of plastic and polythene can be reduced. Then the other solution is we should go for the material that can replace the place of plastic, basically the glass paper like material for the packaging purposes and for the containers. That is vital because the thing is this plastic is not biodegradable for a longer period of time. There are some researchers that who try to find some microorganisms that who are able to consume this plastic or the decompose this plastic, but still those research are under the laboratory conditions. So therefore the problem has been not solved yet. So therefore it is being continued. So our um, the greatest awareness should be put on this kind of environmental issue, which can be a huge mess in coming century. So therefore, please reduce the consumption of plastic and please try to recycle this stuff and please try to locate the plastic where it can be responsibly discarded. If not, if you throw it out and if it is being exposed to the external environment, that could end up in the ocean and that could pollute the entire globe. So then please be keep aware on the management of plastic and polythene and reduce the wastage of plastic and polythene into this environment.